You are now watching Tighten Up Tuesday on Curtis's Podcast Network, hosted by Curtis Brown and Blake Bellamy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tighten Up Tuesday number 10 here on Curtis's Podcast Network. I am joined today by Mayr Frederick Shelley, as well as Titan Fox, and Blake is off this evening as he needed some time to recoup and recover. He's been working a lot and desperately needed some sleep, especially with the upcoming bebe on the way. So with that, let's go ahead and do the housekeeping things. We're at 343 subscribers right now. We're trying to hit 1,000. So go ahead, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. We got a 10 like goal on this episode. Let's try to hit that. And God, was there something else? Probably gonna go do a live show this week for Duval Thursdays, so check out for that, and we'll be dropping some shorts in the coming days. So,
what do you mean by that?
By what?
Drop.
Well, don't drop your shorts. Keep them on.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull our pants down.
I just needed clarification on that.
Yeah. No, I understand. So yeah, let's get into it, gentlemen. All right, so I haven't had either one of you on since the draft. So, initial reactions to all 7 rounds of the draft. Who wants to start?
Titan Fox, you got it, because I got a lot of stuff in my mind. I might take a couple minutes, off my take. So you go ahead and have it, buddy.
That's understandable. I'll take it from here. And yeah, I got a lot on my mind too. So at first, I'll be honest with you, I was absolutely livid when I saw the way that the draft went. So mad at Houston for doing what they did, of course. But after I had time, once the draft was done and I had time to kind of go a little retrospective on it, look back, see what the situation was, and review everything, I'll be honest, I think it was, I would give the draft a straight up A. It was really, really well played by us. And here's my reasoning on that. Okay, first off, people were saying, why didn't you take Will Levis at 11? Because Skoronski was still available. And I'm sorry, but he outranked on our needs list than the successor to Ryan Tannehill. Okay, so we go Skoronski. The fact that Will Levis was actually in the top 5 in many draft projections, and that we managed, even though we were trying to trade up to the first round, like the late first round, we still managed to get him in the second round at pick 33. That's basically 2 top 5 picks right there in our first and second round pick. That's impressive. Now, to get him and make sure that Levis feels important, we did have to trade up and then trade back with our third rounder. The trading back with the third rounder, and of course next year's third rounder, but the trading back in position kind of kicked our ass. And that's why the people who are upset about Tajay, a lot of people are saying, you know what? The reason that they or why didn't they go with a wide receiver? Why didn't they go with a wide receiver? Because if you look at where we traded down from, in between, I think it was in the 80s, we traded down, it was in the 70s, we traded down to the 80s. And in that time, three of the best remaining receivers were taken right before we got to choose. So Rand's looking at the board going, oh, let's take our chances with Tajay. Why not? And I do like the rest of the draft, to be honest with you, as far as the offensive lineman. The tight end looks fierce.
Yep.
6'7". Good gracious. Who's going to contest that? put him on a cornerback or a slot safety that is 5'10". Good luck. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even have to jump for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so that's my big grade is A+.
Okay.
Dude, pretty much Kevin Love.
Basically.
Huge.
All right, it's all you, man.
So my take on this. So, when we drafted Skoronski at 11, first thing I did was text Kurt and let him know I was right. So they're balls. I don't know if you have a button or anything like that, Kurt, but it'd be great. That'd be appreciated. But I thought the pick at 11 was great. I really thought that Chicago was going to take him because he's a Chicago kid. I was like, oh damn, they're going to take Peter Skoronski. We'll probably have to like trade back, or damn it, we're going to draft Will Levis at 11. So getting Skoronski was a big deal. I also like I think the 6th round pick we got Jalen Duncan as well. I think that's a big, because I just think after this draft, like we've really solidified everything on our offense that needed to be solidified besides a wide receiver. Going into the 2nd round, we traded up to get Will Levis. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was upset about that pick for like 4 or 5 hours, like legit mad, like not wanting to talk to anybody. Like I was legit pissed. And, I get, the potential with Will Levis, with him having, a rocket arm, fairly athletic, tough guy. I get all that. But at the same time, it's just like, I watched him stink it up against not only the University of Tennessee, who had like probably one of the worst defenses I've ever seen. Like he stunk it up. He made that defense look legit. Vanderbilt, he only scored 6 points. And I understand that he didn't have the same team that he did previously. But at the same time, it's his performances. It just wasn't good. I just didn't feel like that. Really, I didn't want to draft any quarterback this year. It's not even about, me being a Tennessee fan or anything. I didn't want to draft Hooker either. And I think Hooker's going to be good, but I just didn't think that this was the year that we needed to draft a quarterback. I think in the 2nd round, we should have been trying to get a receiver at that point. I wanted Jalen Hyatt because, I just think that he is like what we need. We need somebody with some speed, But they thought that, they think that Will Levis is going to be the future. So, okay, I disagree with him on that, but whatever. I'm not part of the organization at all, so whatever. The Tajay Spears one, I just don't like getting a running back there because, you drafted one last year. And the thing is, you drafted Hassan Haskins last year. And the thing is, it's just like, the offensive line is so bad that we didn't really get to see, what all that he can do. So it's just, you basically just pushing him to the side and having Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears is, to be honest, I didn't watch a lot of Tulane last year, so I really can't speak on him. I went and watched, some highlights of him, and yeah, he's explosive, and, I'm excited for him. But it was just, at that point, it was just, I know a lot of receivers were taken at that point, but it's just, that was kind of like when you're doing like a fantasy draft and you really like don't know who to pick, and then the computer picks it for you. That's how I felt about that pick. Honestly, because they really didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
The tight end from Cincinnati, I think that was a big get. I think that him and Shig are going to be great together. That's probably the 2nd best pick in the draft to me. Peter Skoronski is obviously going to be number 1 because that was your biggest need. But I'm glad the Titans are at a point to where, they did this. They've done this with Jeffrey Simmons too. I just remember growing up being a fan, and they'll get one good player at a position, but then they don't turn around and get him maybe a sidekick to kind of work with too. Like I feel like they wasted Jarrell Casey's prime by not putting somebody else beside him that maybe isn't as good, but somebody that's really, really serviceable. And then when they got Jeffrey Simmons, Jarrell Casey was pretty much out of his prime. And so it really didn't matter. That's why they got rid of him the next year, brought in Danico Autry, and then you see how good the defensive line has been. So now that they realize, hey, we have a potential star, probably going to be a Pro Bowler in the next few years, if not this coming up year. Now you done put another good player beside him too, so they can kind of like grow together, and that could be a strength position. So I'm glad that they did that. I would say, off of a personal reason, I would probably say Colton Dowell, the last pick, the wide receiver. He's got good measurables. He's fast. He's tall. He's physical. I was kind of confused when I'm like, man, y'all gonna really just get a wide receiver in the 7th round, like way to just piss Titans fans off. But he's my favorite, just being like a local kid, going to Wilson Central. I actually met his mom the Monday after he got drafted and talked to her for a minute. She was so excited. I had a Titans hat on, and lady was like, "Oh yeah, you're wearing that hat, right?" I was like, "Yeah, I wear this hat every day." And then she was just like, "Oh, well, I'm Colton Downs' mom, and we're just so excited." I was like, "Oh, hey, that was great, So that was probably my favorite pick in the draft, is off of like a personal reason. But the draft grade, I give it a B. It's just the Will Levis thing. I just think that, first of all, did we even have to trade up to get him anyway? You know what I mean? Because I just feel like we gave up a lot of capital, and we who was going to draft it?
The Lions.
The Lions? Okay. Yeah. Well, you could have got, Hooker. And I'm not saying it because I'm a UT fan. I didn't want any quarterback this year. So it has to do with who he played for. I don't care. UK is not even a rival to me. So I can care less. But yeah, I just feel like we gave up too much capital, but that's just my personal opinion. I just feel like they could have just fixed the whole team this year and then use that capital next year to maybe go up and get a quarterback. Like maybe you're not going to get Caleb Williams because you're not going to suck that bad. Maybe you could went up and got maybe Drake May, or maybe somebody else that, comes out.
Spencer Rattler.
Yeah. Well, he cooked my team. He cooked my team. So, I really can't say anything bad about him.
No, I feel you. I'm a Vols fan too. So, that game, that hurt.
Yeah, he cooked the ass. Not gonna lie.
It was not fun.
Yeah.
All right. So, I'm going to try to dispel some Will Levis disinformation out there real quick. In the past, I've talked on this channel about he puts mayo in his coffee. Apparently, that was a one-time thing.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been. It should have been a no-time thing. That's embarrassing.
Look, I agree, but it was like some sort of dare that the team made him do. And then apparently he ate a banana with the peel on it for like some sort of different kind of ice bucket challenge, and that just went everywhere, and everybody's like, "Oh, he eats bananas like that all the time." He doesn't. Also, he's incredibly mobile. I feel like people don't really talk about that. When he was at Penn State, he left because they wouldn't let him throw the ball. They literally just never, when he left, he had 120 carries and 100 throws.
I'm going to stop you right there. I don't mean to interrupt you. Is that telling or no?
Well, the guy that they put over him got drafted in the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
And Penn State's not been very good since.
Yeah.
I would say that a lot of Will Levis's career boils down to the fact that his last year there was no one on the team to help him. Mm-hmm. He had the highest on-target percentage of all quarterbacks. That includes Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. Mm-hmm. And he had the highest yards per attempt, including Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, of all the quarterbacks in this draft class. So there are positives to him. The coaches, if you think about the way that he is, a lot of people call him robotic. Well, tell me what football coach in the NFL seems a little robotic when he gets up and talks in front of a microphone. Hint, he's the coach of the Titans.
Yeah. And that's not even like Mike's real personality. Like when he goes up there, because I've partied with Braves before. He's totally like what you see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dude, nicest dude you ever meet, man. He's a good guy.
He's different in front of the camera for sure. But
yeah,
I'll be honest with you, Curtis. I was gonna guess his previous coach, Belichick.
Oh,
yeah. Also that one.
Personality traits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't even think Bill Belichick's a real person, honestly.
You probably have some argument on that one. That's probably pretty accurate.
Probably some kind of.
Take a robot, put a frown on it, and there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So Spears out of Tulane, I didn't watch a lot of his film, fully upfront about that, but he's one of the only players in the NFL that has arthritis in both knees and only one ACL.
Sounds like my mom. My mom.
Sounds like my
I
mom.
didn't expect that.
Yeah, no, that was not my initial thought of how you were going to react to that.
Mayr nailed it.
But even with that, his last year he did phenomenally well. He still has explosiveness and power. He's a big dude. I agree that the Titans should have gone wide receiver. That's what I thought they were going to do in that spot. That alone, I don't know why they didn't go for Hyatt or Tillman. They needed somebody. Obviously, they needed more speed.
Hyatt and Tillman were both gone by that pick.
I know, but that's what I thought they should have done is move up at some point in the third.
And Josh Downs too, gone.
Yeah.
So
Tank Dell, I think, was still there. And then I think...
that would have paid dividends. Dell's
well,
going to be a beast.
Well, now he's in Houston.
Yeah, I know.
And then you got...
Yes, bro.
yeah.
You see how he lifted his eyebrows? Oh, man.
I saw that.
We had also talked a lot about if the Titans were to trade up based on how the Texans made their draft, if they would have chosen Will Anderson over C.J. Stroud for whatever reason. As we know, it happened in real time. C.J. Stroud and then Will Anderson by the Texans, which was a huge
Genius.
trade.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said it was genius on the part of the
No,
Texans.
it was absolute genius.
If they had done it in the reverse, I would have called them morons.
Yeah. So, what was your initial reaction to that particular move or set of picks?
I mean, I thought it was good. I thought it was good for the Texans. Hopefully, they have like their franchise quarterback, and they got one of the best players in the draft too for Will Anderson. I mean, I think it's good for them. I mean, I never really bought into.
But from a Titans perspective.
Oh, from a Titans perspective, I mean, the thing is, I mean, you didn't, because you would have had to give up a lot of capital that you don't have. And actually, I think I talked about this in the last episode I was on, but you didn't have the capital to make that move anyway. So it was just like, okay, when they announced on the radio that the Titans were going to go up and do that, my thing is like, bro, Houston can still draft C.J. Stroud just based off this rumor. You know what I mean? Yeah. Why are we telling the whole world, hey, we're trading up to 3 to go get C.J. Stroud when the Texans obviously need a quarterback? Like, why? I mean, can nobody keep a secret?
Yeah.
So, and maybe if those reports didn't come out, maybe the Texans draft Will Anderson. I mean, I think they were going to get a quarterback anyway. You don't pick it to you not have a reasonable quarterback and then not take one when you have a chance. So, I really, honestly, I just wasn't really mad about it. I was like, we didn't really have the money for it anyway. I mean, like I said before, I mean, that'd be pretty much like getting a payday loan. So,
yeah.
That is true. From a Titans perspective on it, it actually made me a little nervous, and here's why. I'll explain. So, about, I don't know, I guess it was about 4 or 5 years ago, the Texans were running game all over the Titans. Like, they were literally our division rival. I know it changes with whoever's got the most skill, but sometimes it's the Jags, sometimes it's the Colts. But no, the Texans were stomping us into the ground. And what were the 2 people that you can remember that were destroying us and most of the league? Deshaun Watson, quarterback, and Wyatt. JJ Watt, sorry. JJ Watt. And so you got defensive line and quarterback. What did they just draft?
Yep.
One of the best quarterbacks, one of the best defensive linemen. All of a sudden, I'm having flashbacks. You know what I mean? So while I commend them for what they did, it's a little scary from our perspective because we got to face those 2, or at least, well, the entire team, obviously. But we got to face them twice a year. So call me a little bit skeptical and nervous. I don't know.
And speaking of that, I mean, Will Levis, I mean, he's very similar to Jake Locker, too. So offensive line, hey, it's bad. I mean, hopefully it's better this year, but I mean, bad offensive line, your future quarterback may have a little Jake Locker in him, maybe. Definitely like him, So I don't know. You might have a point.
I'm hoping for a little more Vince Young than Jake Locker.
Yeah, I hope so too.
All right, let's shift our focus here to one of the other teams in the South who also selected a quarterback in the top 5. The Colts took Anthony Richardson, somebody we had talked about on previous pods about maybe this is one of the biggest hit or miss quarterbacks in recent memory. What was your initial reaction from a Titans perspective when Anthony Richardson went off at 4 to the Colts?
Go ahead, Titan Fox.
Yeah, I'll throw it out there. Personally, I've been kind of scouting and watching film on both Anthony Richardson and Will Levis because, well, and CJ Stroud as well, because I thought maybe that rumor would actually come true. But when I was watching that, and they were coming up with these numbers like 51% accuracy. Okay, there are some things that are coachable. I know Will Levis had like 65%, right? As far as completion percentage and everything.
Right, yeah.
But there are some things that you can coach, but there's a drop-off limit to where you may not be able to coach it back up. And I feel with as amazing of an athlete as he is, that Richardson is going to be more like a Lamar Jackson, but maybe a little less accurate. And to put it in perspective, at my job, personally, if I'm at 50, 51, 52%, I better start looking for another job. Mm-hmm. I got to do better than that. It's just the expectation. So, and I worry if they start him day one. I think that they can develop him if they start him, let's say, behind Gardner Minshew. But if they start him day one, I honestly don't see good things in his future. And that's unfortunate because he's an amazing, amazing athlete.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mayr?
Initially, I remember I was talking to somebody about this a little bit later on the same draft night. Honestly, I thought that Will Levis would have been a good fit for them in Indy, honestly. My thing is with drafting Anthony Richardson. Okay, like you said, Kurt, he's a hit or miss. You know, his completion percentage, 51, 52%. It's not very good.
No.
But I'm glad they didn't do this. But they literally could have offered, like, people say Anthony Richardson could be Lamar Jackson. Like, he's basically a great value version of Lamar Jackson. You literally could have gotten the real Lamar Jackson. You could have gave the 2 first-round picks to Baltimore, and then you could have signed Lamar Jackson. So instead of maybe getting a project, you could have got a former MVP, one of the best players in the league. So my thing is, I didn't understand it from their perspective. I'm like, if you guys feel like that you're one quarterback away, which they're not, their team isn't as good as what they like to believe. They're further off than what they think. But if you got Lamar Jackson, and then you would have had Jonathan Taylor, you talk about a backfield.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they didn't do that. They wanted to get Anthony Richardson, and I don't see it with Anthony Richardson. I don't see it. I'm not scared of Anthony Richardson.
I think year one, realistically, he's Justin Fields. Not a very good thrower. Not going to throw the ball a lot. Going to look to run. A lot of RPOs. I would imagine that Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson are going to be quite the athletic duo in that backfield. And they might be able to win a couple games just on that if the defense is able to do basically anything like it was able to do last year, with the exception of a couple games. But they drafted a lot of speed to their team. Jeff Steckel, who's the Colts guy on the channel, he made a post the other day that had, like, they drafted like 6 players who were like 4.4 or faster. So, I mean, they really imported a bunch of speed. 2 corners who ran like 4.36s, and one of them's like 6'2". Just a Julius Brents out of Kansas State, just a mammoth of a human being.
Size and speed.
Yeah, size and speed. The Al Davis special.
They needed that. I feel like they're very. And I've never said this, but it's something I've noticed when I've watched them. yeah, they don't really have anybody on their team that like really scares me besides like, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's never done anything against my team. So I mean, I know how good he is. I'm not scared of him because he'll do something. Like, but they didn't have like that speedster on the outside that just scares you. And so no, they had a pretty good draft, but it just all depends on what Anthony is going to be able to do. And like you said, Titan Fox, I mean, his completion percentage just scares me. I mean, he lit my team up, but he still only completed like 55% of his passes.
Yeah,
they just like it fit for a big game, but because my defense is terrible. But he still only completed like 55% of his passes. So we'll see.
All right, and that brings us to the final AFC South team and their draft, and I think quite possibly, at least arguably, had the best draft of the South, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They knew who they were going to take at 24 and knew that nobody behind them was going to take them, and they traded back twice, picked up more picks, ended up selecting, I think, 11 or 12 players. So not necessarily these moves, they weren't necessarily flashy draft in the sense for the Jags, but they filled needs, they got bodies for development, and I really like it. I mean, I think the Jags are
Are you favoring quantity over quality?
Well, not necessarily, because some of these picks were pretty high quality. Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma is going to fill in right tackle. They drafted Antonio Johnson, I think in like the 5th or 6th round, who on some boards I saw going as early as late 2nd, 3rd round, something like that. So a really solid selection there. They've got some aging defensive backs that need to be kind of ushered out the door, and they need to mentor some dudes on the way in. So I think it was a really good rejuvenating draft for the Jags, and I think that's at least in part why I think the Jags are the team to beat this year.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I get it. I mean, I know I joke about Jacksonville, by going 8 and the Titans have to lose like 7 games in a row for them to even make the playoffs. But I mean, they do have the best quarterback in the division right now. I mean, they have the best receiving core. I mean, you got Calvin Ridley, you got Christian Kirk, you got what's the tight end? Evan Ingram. So I mean, they had a good offensive line last year, and so this year probably a little bit better. Defense is pretty solid. So I mean, I get it. I get why they would be the team to beat, but honestly, I wouldn't really sleep on the Titans either. You got to think, you bring it back. Your offensive line is better. Still got the best player in the division. Still got Ryan Tannehill. I mean, and the defense is going to be the defense. So it's just like, I think it's in between the Titans and the Jags next year. But in the future, yeah, Titans, they're going to have to do some things because, yeah, I see it in a couple of years. If Will Levis doesn't pan out, it's going to be really tough for the Titans in the next couple of years. But this coming up year is in between the Titans and the Jets. For sure.
Yeah, I agree completely. As far as the entire Jags draft class, I would say it was pretty solid, to be honest with you, when I was watching it. But it's not something that worries me in the least. I don't know what it is, if it's just the fact that we have Vrabel as a coach, and I know we can go 12-5 with nothing but backups and a ton of injured players. All of our starters are barely playing, and we still go 12-5. It's that kind of mentality that the team has, and so for me, no fear. I honestly feel like AFC South will probably be ours or come down to one game.
Do you guys have any final comments?
We need to get a wide receiver, man. Like I guess Corey Davis. Hopefully, I didn't necessarily like Corey Davis when he was here, but he'd be better than what we got on the roster right now.
That's true.
I mean, I'll take him. I'm down with it.
I wonder if the Jets are holding out, hoping that somebody will trade for him.
So have either of you heard at least some sort of mention of the rumor that the Titans are wanting at some point during the 2023 season to extend Derrick Henry.
I heard about that. I heard about that.
I just want to make sure I wasn't the only one.
Yeah, I heard. I seen that on Twitter. I think. I mean, he's still running for over 1,500 yards. If he has a
with no offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, he's the best player on the team. He ain't slowing down. Yeah, pay him in.
Yeah.
Bam.
And I know I've commented this on a few people's sites, or on Twitter and stuff like that, but I just have to say it again. You know, a lot of the media, a lot of fans, they say, like they're trying to say, oh, well, he's almost 30, and 30 for a running back is basically the start of their decline. But then at the same time, from the other cheek, they're also saying Derrick Henry's one of a kind. We've never seen anything like him, like a unique beast.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say both of those things at the same time, because either he's unique enough to go another 3-4 years, or he's just regular, like every other running back that you're talking about.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. I see him having another three good years. I mean, honestly, if this offensive line is at least middle of the road next year, he's gonna run for 1,700 yards. So I mean, of course, you're gonna pay a running back it don't matter how old that he is. I mean, like 30 is 40 years old, and I get running backs, they seem to hit a decline after they turn 30. But one thing I would say about Derrick Henry is, as big as he is, I think he does a good job of like avoiding unnecessary hits. Like, he's not a battering ram. You know what I mean? He's not like how Eddie George was, or maybe Eric Dickerson. Whenever he has a chance to get out of bounds, he gets out of bounds. He doesn't run through people. He stiff arms people. He doesn't run. I don't even remember the last time I seen Derrick Henry run over somebody. Last time I seen Derrick Henry like really run over somebody was like against the Ravens, like in a regular season. I think that we won in like OT. I think that was like the last time I had seen him do that. But other than that, yeah, I know that he runs the ball a lot, but I don't think he just takes like the punishment as like maybe previous running backs did. So I still think he's got another 3 years left in him, for sure.
Right. And yeah, you're right. Battering with the stiff arm.
Yeah, and he's going to be a complete Hall of Famer that you have ever had on the team. Let that man retire a Titan, dude. We don't have any Hall of Famers, which is crazy.
What?
But yeah, we don't have any Hall.
Wait, is that
There's
right?
Hall of Famers. That's not right.
I was
Earl
gonna
Campbell,
say.
Bruce Matthews.
No, I'm not talking about the Oilers. I'm talking about like Titan players. That's what like Titan players. Like Bruce Matthews is more known as an Oiler. Did he play for the Titans? Yeah, for like what, a year or two? But you know him as like an Oiler. Mike Munchak, ain't he in the Hall of Fame too?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
But he was also an Oiler.
Yeah, I'm looking. I know it's the same franchise, but I'm talking about like just pure Titans. Like Steve McNair, Eddie George, yes, they were Oilers, but we know them more as for Titans. So that's what so technically that's not correct, but if you look at it that way, then it is.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
okay. That makes
We're
more
in the
sense.
two-tone blue, not the Houston blue. Right?
Yeah, not the.
Okay.
Oh, I had one last question for you, Curtis.
What's up?
Have you heard any news about? Because I know the Titans have announced that they're doing the throwback uniforms.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything under the wire or whatever as to like when they're going to do that, or do we wait until after the 11th when they release the schedules?
Are you the Titans alternate uniforms or the Texans?
No, the Titans wearing the throwback uniforms, as in the
Oilers stuff. Yeah. No, I haven't heard anything about that. It'll probably be released with the schedule or in the following days. But Houston is going to be announcing an Oilers themed throwback as well. There will not be an oil rig on their helmet, but they will be using the color scheme.
That's cool.
Yeah.
The Patriots use that color scheme too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Still can't get the Love You Blues back. Sorry, guys. One thing I heard, I heard late last season. I met this one guy, and I don't know how true this is. I don't, but he told me that I had this jersey on, this red jersey I'm wearing right now. I ran into this guy. He's a security guard, and he said that I think his brother or a friend like works for the team, and so I heard that they're doing red jerseys next year too for a game, but it's not gonna look like this one. He was telling me because he said he'd seen it, and he said it's red, but it's a little bit different than like what you have on. It's gonna be a totally different thing. So like when they put out the other day, like the dipping of the helmet, I think that has like something to do with the red jersey. Like I know that the blues and stuff is coming out, but I personally think that right there may be the red jersey that they're talking about. If that, I don't like I said before, I don't know how true that is. That's just what this one guy told me. It might be completely false, but he told me, like he's like it's red, but like it's a little bit different than what you're wearing, and it's supposed to be like top secret.
Okay. I gotta say, if they wore your jersey that you're wearing right now, and that helmet dipped in black with the Oiler rig on the side, I would lose my mind. That's so awesome.
Yeah, yeah. No, that'd be cool. I don't see why they've never used. I mean, I don't get why they never did the red anyway. It's not like, I mean, especially like when the first red ones come out, everybody had a red jersey back in the day, and people always wanted them to wear them, but they just never would. And I don't know why. Like I don't get it. Like if you had this jersey with the dark blue pants and stuff like that, like that would be a really really good uniform. But they just don't want to. Titans don't want to.
We bleed two-tone blue. That's all.
Well,
yeah. With the regular scheme, but at least like one game a year you could do that.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Hey, every once in a while, Tampa Bay Buccaneers goes back to creamsicle. So
yeah, they're bringing him back this season.
It's gonna be so fun.
I wonder if there's like some sort of AFL throwback anniversary or something, and that's why all this is being teased.
It could be Baker Mayfield and creamsicle.
Yeah. All right, folks. I think we're close to done here. So I want to go ahead and thank both of you, Titan Fox and Mayr, for coming on, talking football with me, talking Titans. I want to thank all of you for watching. I mean, otherwise, what are we doing? So hit the like and subscribe button. We got a 10 like goal on this episode, and we're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. We're at 343 at the time of this recording. Help us get to that 1,000 and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new content. And be good people.
Don't forget to share. Share this on any social media platform you've got. I'm gonna my Titan Fox page, my regular page, all of it.
Yep. And check out Mayr Shelley's YouTube page. You need to do it. Check out all of his music.
Heck yeah.
And do you have a link in the description?
I can get that.
Yeah.
All right.
Share it everywhere. Share it on your private Instagrams, your OnlyFans, whatever you got.
Your OnlyFans?
All right, y'all. Be good people.